one of the first things I did when I got on campus was address the team. And so we met last night, and I told them a very similar message, that, you know, we're going to focus on the process, and I'm going to hold you to a high standard. And I gave them things, the Mustang standards that they're going to be evaluated on. The first thing is going to be academics. The second thing is going to be community service. How they're going to do what they're going to do out in the community, what they're going to do in the athletic training room. You know, are they going to be attacking rehab? Are they going to be diligent with their time? You know, and then the last thing is football. You know, because I really believe that, you know, if you're good on everything else and you're a good athlete, football will take care of itself. And so again, man, my message to them was I'm excited. I'm pumped to get started. They were pumped to get started, but we all know we got a lot of work ahead of us. And those that want to work and that raise and elevate themselves above the standard, we're going to be champions here.
Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk, streamed on Facebook. And along with producer Alden Iwani, my special guest today is Western New Mexico Athletic Director Scott Noble. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You know, Coach, we just had a look at new head coach Phillip V. Hill's press conference about a month ago. Mm-hmm. He's your new football coach, Frank Tristan, stepping down on April 7th. And it was one of those things that we went down to the press conference and you and I talked, almost like you hit the ground running when Coach Tristan unexpectedly stepped down. You know, he'd been there for 5 years, I believe.
No,
coming up on his.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it was unexpected. I don't know that you expected that. He's going home with some family. It's good for Coach Tristan.
Yes.
He did a great job there.
Mm-hmm.
But you hit the ground running with this hire, and I thought you invited us down to Silver City to cover that press conference. I was honored that you asked us to come down there. I was really honored and touched by that, and I had a chance to talk to Coach V. Hill. And I was, you know, afterward, I told you I played basketball. You know, you're a former football coach. Mm-hmm. Afterward, in listening to Coach V. Hill, you want to hit something. You know, you really did. But I think he hit all of the things that you're talking about, character, about players.
You bet.
Talk to us a little bit about. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I got to let you talk. So talk to us a little bit about Coach V. Hill and what you saw when you hired him.
Well, I'll tell you, it's something. It's a process that we're now getting to. Okay, my first year when we came in to Western New Mexico 3.5 years ago, it was difficult to get applicants to come to Western New Mexico, and with the support and of our president, Dr. Joe Shepard, he has made it possible now. Through not only his support, but our community's support, our state's support for our university and for our athletic department, we are now able to go out and hire high-quality coaches for our young people, and this is within all of our sports. When Coach Tristan handed in his resignation letter, of course, I fell out of my chair. It was a total surprise. I'm happy for his family, certainly happy for him. And to then open up the applications, the first time that we were looking for a head football coach, we had 30 applicants. This time in day 3, I had 101 applicants. So we're moving in the right direction as a university, and we're excited about that. It is something where in my contacts in the coaching profession, you make a lot of phone calls, find out who's out there. Here are some things that we're looking for within the candidate, and Phil's name is one of the names that we got. And so we reached out to Phil, and he was gracious enough to return a phone call and started those conversations. And as soon as he interviewed, Eddie, we knew we had something special, and very excited about the football program, the opportunity to bring in a new staff. His new staff is also exciting. I mean, we have assistant coaches that are coming to us now, taking pay cuts to come to Western New Mexico to work with Phillip V. Hill. And you don't see that a lot. And for us to be able to bring in 5 new football coaches really speaks highly of our program and where our program's headed. And it's simply because of the support of Dr. Shepard and our community.
I'll tell you what, you can't say enough about Dr. Shepard, and I think 101 applicants that you had, what was it that made you decide again on Coach V. Hill? Because in that press conference, he was very impressive about what he talked about. And again, he's got to hit the ground running, right? We mentioned that. April, it's a short turnaround. So
Sure.
September 4th.
Sure.
We go down to Adams State. I say we. I'm the voice of Western New Mexico. I wear that proudly, right? So it's a short turnaround. And
Yeah.
but by and I asked him that. I said, is the sense of urgency greater because of that? And
Sure.
he said it was.
Yes.
But I just thought he hit it all on the, and you know, he retained some of Coach Tristan's coaches while bringing in some of his own.
Yes.
And you know, he wants to run the ball. He's, you know,
Right.
his offensive philosophy is going to be different than the run and shoot that Coach Tristan wanted to do.
Yep.
I thought the defense in our only spring game against UT Permian performed very well. I was very
Yes.
impressed.
Yeah.
A lot of speed, side-to-side speed.
You bet.
I was very impressed.
You bet.
So, again, you had a lot of applicants to sift through. What was it?
Right.
One thing that you saw about him? It's like, this is our guy, and that's a lot of people to go through.
You know what? For me, it's called organizational urgency. You know, we all have an urgency about us in athletics. We're naturally competitive people.
Oh gosh.
And
Still.
so yeah,
Even when you
still.
can't compete anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for us in the interview, I immediately had a sense of urgency from him and highly organized. You know, when your applicants take notes on not only the questions that we ask, but also on the responses that we have within the interview process. He writes down everything. He records everything. He's one of the things that some of the head coaches said about Philip Veal is you will not find anybody that works harder or more efficient than Philip Veal. And there are a lot of great coaches out there that are highly organized, and because of that, helps make them become great coaches. You fill in your staff with your weaknesses within the game itself, and he's done that. The other thing that stood out about Coach V. Hill, which we look for in all of our head coaches, is a moral value.
Right.
We want to have a moral value in our coaches, those who are going to lead young men and women. We want them to have that characteristic, and of course, Coach Philip V. Hill, he has that. The next thing is you have to be a relentless recruiter, and for us, because of some of the I don't know if restrictions is the right word, but we do ask our head coaches to recruit the right student athlete, not just the athlete. I'm very proud to say that we've as a department have had a 3.0 GPA or higher. That's been so important for us. It's the first step of success within an athletic department is getting your academics in line and getting them going in the right direction. We've again had over 90 student athletes in the Lone Star All-Conference performers in terms of academics, which again is our second year now of having more than 90. So the academic piece is in the right place for us right now. It is now going out and continually to work to bring in those high quality student athletes, not only in the academic but now in the field, have the talent to be able to play at a very, very high level. And with Coach V. Hill's recruiting background, we have that. His recruiting, he was the recruiting coordinator at Stephen F. Austin, and in the Southland Conference, he had the number 1 and number 3 classes the 2 years he was there.
A lot of things that you mentioned led you to, to hire Coach V. Hill. And you mentioned that about the GPA, 3.05 GPA, 45 student athletes made the president's list, 21 student athletes made the dean's list. So not only is it, you talked about character, but academics, and his focus is going to be on that too. And you want to recruit the best athletes, but there's a lot of checklists that go with that. And of course, we want to win, right? We want to win. You mentioned that to me in the spring. We need to start winning. You said that to me, and that resonated with me. You're a competitor, former coach yourself.
Sure.
And you're going to go. You want to go in there and you want to get after it. You want coaches that are going to do that, but they have to check a certain Mustang checklist. Something that you talked about, organizational structure. Anybody that's sitting there and recording and writing questions down. Younger people dissect things different, right?
Yes.
So when Coach Field, he's very impressive. Very, like I said, I liken it to watching the first Rocky movie, right? You saw Rocky do all those one knuckle push-ups, and afterward you want to go out and run and do and hit something.
Yeah,
so when you heard him in that press conference, he's so impressive and is so articulate about his vision for Western New Mexico football, but about character and players and things like that. I just don't know how you couldn't listen to that and like, man, I can't wait till they put them helmets and gear on, and what are we going to have?
That's right. Even without seeing any practices or any game situations, you can tell he is highly structured and that his program is going to be highly structured simply by the way he carries himself in front of people.
I was so impressed. I really was. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with Western New Mexico Athletic Director Scott Noble after these messages on the Sports Desk.
Here's a 1-2. That's lifted, well hit into the gap. This might clear the bases. It's going to bounce off the wall, and it will clear the bases. A bases clearing double off the bat of Nico Barella. Got the glove on it. Squeezes for a second. That's tapped on the ground. Might be academic. They'll flip it to first in time for the double play ball. Huge lead. There's the pitch. It's low. Runner going on a delayed steal, and he's going to be out at second. One-two. The runner moving. It's pulled down the line. This might be trouble, and it's a fair ball. Sandoval coming around. Coach Pineda going to send him to the plate. Here comes the tying run, and he scores. Sandoval. The throw gets away. Cooper will go to second base, and we're all tied at 6 as Sandoval scampers in.
Hit so far. That ball is driven deep to right center field, and it's gone. Second home run of the inning for the Cougars. They've got 5 runs in, and Civila has come roaring back here at the top of the 3rd inning. 2-run home run for Jalen Montez.
Long look in. There's a pitch. That's in the air. In shallow right. Very aggressive as Gerard Pineda will have a play at the plate. Oh, what a hose in right. The ball was waiting for him as he came home, and he was dead to rights.
2-2, nobody out. 2 runs in. There's the pitch, and that's up the middle. No, right to Francois. Back to second for a double play. That's a good play by Francois. And 0-1 to Araceli Morales. There's the pitch. Morales swings, hit to Vela. What a catch by Vela in right field. Vela coming to her, running to her left and diving.
It's going to go straight. Let's see if it falls, and it looks like the catch was made, and indeed it was for the 3rd out. Sprawling was Kayla Reed for the third out. What a play. Garcia prepares, deals, and she swings it. This one looks ding dong doink. Yabba dabba doo. Grand slam by Mia Flores. Four ribbies for Mia as she just unleashed on that softball.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk, live on Facebook with producer Alden Iowani, our special guest today, Western New Mexico Athletics Director, Scott Noble, also my boss down in Silver City. And Coach, just great to have you here. You know, we don't get enough time to visit. I got to see you in the spring, and it's always good to see what I call my Mustang family. You know, you got Dakota Spillers is your new SID down there. You've got new basketball coaches in women's basketball, Coach Pace, Coach St. Gibson. In men's basketball, they did get a season under their belts. You have a new softball coach in Coach Ashley Hickman. I know you're very pumped up about hiring her. She's got a great resume here. You know, I'm going to ask you about Coach Hickman now. Elsa Crocker stepped down unexpectedly, I think, in April, and you managed to again another great hire. And I remember calling Dakota Spillers on accident. He's like, "Hey, we're in the middle of a softball interview," and you must have been interviewing. Talk to us about that hiring process. And again, Coach Hickman, what an impressive resume. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, both of those hires. Typically, what happens in the fall sports is at the end of the calendar year. You know, in December is when coaches move on and go to other places or whatever the case might be. And so, trying to hire high quality head coaches outside of that December-January windows, you know, very difficult. And we have two openings in April, you know, and that's tough because coaches have gone through spring ball with their season. So the hiring process for football was really tough. For softball, being a spring sport, it's a little bit different. Their season being over in May, typically that's a traditional time where coaches move on and go somewhere. So for us to be able to hire Ashley was again something that really surprised us in the quality of coach that we could get to come to Western New Mexico. She's from the state of Kansas, played for the University of Kansas, was a pitcher at the University of Kansas, started her master's program there in the KCAC League in the state of Kansas at Tabor College in Hillsboro, Kansas. And from there, she was the head coach at McPherson College in Kansas. And then just recently, the last 2 years, 3 years total, 2 years as the head coach at Upper Iowa University up in Fayette, Iowa. And so with her coming to us again, she checked all of the boxes and what we're looking for in leaders of our young women here on the campus of Western New Mexico University. And number one, the first thing is moral character, high moral values. Someone that has had head coaching experience, that comes from winning programs, that played at a high level, and Ashley checked all those boxes. And then having phone conversations with her, I knew that we had something special. And then once we were able to meet face to face through the Zoom interviews, I knew that Ashley was the one that we needed, and we're very fortunate, and she's accepted the position. She'll be here July 1st, feet on the ground, ready to go.
Just around the corner.
We're excited about that.
You know, again, those are two coaches that you've recently hired. Now, I have to ask you this. Pandemic year last year, Western New Mexico did play basketball on the road, right? They played, men and women's played on the road. Coach Watts, let's not forget her. She's another outstanding volleyball coach. She just hired a new assistant over there. So where is Western coming out of a pandemic? We played one spring football game. We didn't get the normal schedule that we normally did, and a lot of those games were canceled due to COVID-19 restrictions. Coming out of the pandemic, and you mentioned hiring of two new coaches. Your academic program is on solid footing. But coming out of a pandemic, where's Western? Where's Western New Mexico athletics coming out of a pandemic?
We are in as good a shape as we could ever be in. And again, I can't say this enough. The leadership that we have on campus with Dr. Shepard, our community in Silver City and the surrounding communities are so supportive in what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. We now have a higher quality of staff, in my opinion, and this is university staff as a whole. To be able to go through and compete with all of our sport programs this last year, where others like us did not. New Mexico Highlands didn't get to have any competitions in the fall, didn't get to have a spring or a winter with basketballs. That was very tough on them.
Yes.
Eastern New Mexico was the same way. It's very difficult. For us, we're very fortunate in our leadership. We kept our campus open. We following the rules within the CDC and of course with the state, we were still able to host or play some competitions, give some opportunities for our student athletes to compete, and that was critical in us taking that next step forward in terms of an athletic department and what we do. My job is to provide opportunity for competition for student athletes, those who come to us, giving them an opportunity to perform and play the game that they love to play. And we kept that opportunity open at Western New Mexico University. Though we didn't get to play any home games.
Right.
You know, kind of like New Mexico State and New Mexico, they had to do everything on the road. We had to do everything on the road as well. And that's why we didn't get to see your lovely face.
Right. Producer Josh Brown, producer Alden Niawani, producer Jay Pohl, they all took turns going down there, although Josh Brown's more the guy that's been our guy down there. You know, Coach, you mentioned too, let's talk about this. Now, it sounds like Western came out of the pandemic in pretty good shape, and it was devastating for a lot of college programs. You know, here at the University of New Mexico, they didn't get to play a home game. The women did later in the season. So, the state of New Mexico had some pretty serious lockdowns. They did.
Yes.
So coming out of that, it seems like you mentioned Western's in good shape. Talk about this, the improvements to Ben Altamirano Field, and you mentioned this to me too when I was there in the spring. You got some lines there for possible later women's soccer.
Sure.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag here, but you did mention that to me.
Sure.
Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. Since my arrival 3.5 years ago, the commitment to improve our athletic facilities has been there from day one. From new tennis court lighting, to new football stadium lighting, to a new artificial surface in our football stadium. We're getting ready. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on this, but we're getting ready to announce a large athletic department capital project, which is going to be exciting for the sport programs that we currently have in place, and then. There is always a need for growth in what we do, and again, in providing opportunities for New Mexicans and those that are around in surrounding states with Texas and Arizona to be able to provide opportunity for sport, an opportunity to go to college through scholarship offerings. We want to continue to increase those offerings at Western New Mexico University. And the first one that we want to look at, it's twofold, if you will. We are looking at women's soccer and, of course, baseball. We lost baseball back in the 90s. and we certainly want that back. Women's soccer, I mentioned that we did put soccer lines
You did?
on our football field, and they are on there. So there is going to be a time in the very near future where we will announce the addition of new sport programs at Western New Mexico University. I'm excited about it. I can't release the timelines right now, but there's excitement in Southeast New Mexico about these opportunities, and we are really doing a great job, in my opinion, on marketing and branding our institution, trying to increase enrollment with some different initiatives that we have in place on our campus. So for opportunity for education, for opportunity for sport, Western New Mexico is continually taking steps forward.
Your 5th year as AD at Western New Mexico?
4.
You're coming into your 4th year.
Coming into my 4th, yeah.
Now, you checked all the academic boxes. These coaches, Coach Pace, Coach Gibson, Coach Hickman, and Coach V. Hill, all
Yes.
belong to you.
Yes.
They're all your hires. Now,
Yes.
what I want to ask, Lone Star Conference.
Holly Watts.
Oh, Coach Watts.
Yes.
Don't want to forget about Coach Watts.
Yes.
Outstanding
Great
coach,
volleyball.
great person too.
Yes, great person.
You mentioned this to me. Now, people don't understand unless you've been down there. The Lone Star Conference is a tough conference. It's a very, very tough conference.
Yes.
I saw that in basketball. I saw that in football and volleyball. It's a very tough conference.
Yep.
And people are going to ask. I'm a Western homer, right? When do we start winning? Doing some conference championships? You said this to me, Coach. You know, I have all the respect in the world for you. You're a former coach too. You said this to me in the spring. This is what you said to me. You know, I always listen, man. 'Cause, you know, I just listen because I used to coach too, but basketball, right? But I always want to know what you said. We need to start winning. You did mention that to me. So again, all the things the elements are in place.
Yes.
When do you think we might see? It's hard to predict, but you feel like we do have the elements.
You'll see it in all of our programs this upcoming year. You will see it this upcoming year. You're going to see it in volleyball. You're going to see it in basketballs. You're going to see it in football. You're going to see it in softball. We already have an outstanding golf program that's got its foot on the ground. Tennis program. Alex Hunt is another one of our hires, and Alex has brought in the best tennis recruiting class that I've seen in my 3.5 years. Our cross-country program, we had individual All-American, finished in the top 10 in the country in cross-country. So our programs, like I said, are there. We have the right people in place as leaders, number one, and we are recruiting what we consider the right student athlete. And there's a checklist in the leaders that I hire, and there's a checklist in the student athletes that we bring onto our campus. And you are going to see wins at Western New Mexico University starting this year. And we will only continue to improve. There's no doubt in my mind.
I love it, Coach. That's what I want to hear. That's what we want to hear. One more thing, Coach. We got about 20 seconds left. Let everybody know Silver City is a gorgeous town. It really is. It really is.
Yes.
So let people know, just
Yes.
real briefly, that Silver City is a good place to be.
Well, yeah, it's when my wife looked at it, when we were looking at the job, my wife came back and said, "You have to take this job. It's absolutely beautiful." I thought we were in the desert. Well, there's nothing about desert in Silver City, New Mexico. It's in the Gila National Forest. It's absolutely beautiful. The weather is awesome. It's a great place. Come visit us.
I'll tell you what, check it out. It's a great place to be. Western New Mexico Athletic Director Scott Noble, thanks so much for being our guest. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You bet. We'll be seeing you soon. For producer Alden Iowani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next Tuesday on the Sports Desk.